Hello everybody and welcome back to Simply 6. Today we are going to be looking at the actions of servicemen that earned them the highest and most prestigious military decoration available, the Medal of Honor. But first, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to share. If you would like to show your support, feel free to add Simply 6 to your featured channels. Now, with that being said, come along with me as we count down 6 amazing acts of valor. Number 6. John Robert Fox was an American artillery officer who, on December 26, 1944, made the ultimate sacrifice in order to halt German soldiers in Somma-Colonia, Italy, as they gradually infiltrated the town in civilian clothing, which began the night before. With the town largely under German control and greatly outnumbered, most of the U.S. infantry forces were forced to withdraw. However, Fox and a few other members of his observer party volunteered to stay behind and direct defensive artillery strikes from the second floor of a house. After reporting that the Germans were in the streets attacking in force, Fox began calling in artillery strikes to slow the enemy advance. Despite the strikes, the Germans pressed on, drawing closer to Fox's position. Continually calling strikes closer to his own position, Fox received a warning that the next adjustment would bring the artillery right on top of him. Fox acknowledged and insisted the last adjustment be made and the strike launched, as this was the only way to halt the German advance. Fox's decision provided time for other infantry and artillery units to reorganize a counterattack and retake the position. Once the position was retaken, Fox's body was found along with those of approximately 100 German soldiers. Though originally awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his action, it wasn't until the early 1990s that it was determined that during and immediately after World War II, African American soldiers had been denied consideration for the Medal of Honor solely based on their race. After examining the report of the actions of John Fox, it was determined that his was one such case, and on January 13, 1997, President Bill Clinton presented the Medal of Honor to his widow in a White House ceremony. Number 5. First Lieutenant William Hawkins was a Marine who earned the Medal of Honor for his actions on Bayshore Island between November 20th and 21st in 1943. Being the first to disembark from the Jeep lighter, Hawkins was injured by shrapnel as he came ashore. Despite this, he pushed forward under heavy enemy fire. At the end of the Bayshore Pier, Hawkins personally led attacks on pillboxes and installations in an effort to join the forces fighting to gain a beachhead. Hawkins alone initiated an assault on a hostile position fortified by 5 enemy machine guns. After clearing 2 pillboxes, killing the men inside using his M1 carbine, allowing his men to advance, he was wounded a second time, this time in the chest. Though Hawkins had been taken to a medic who bandaged him and ordered him to leave, he refused, saying, "I came here to kill Japs, not go home," and telling the medic not to tie his bandages so tight that he can't shoot. Returning to the battlefield, Hawkins destroyed 3 more pillboxes by throwing grenades and satchel charges into the nests before he was mortally wounded by Japanese shell fire from the gunner inside a 4th pillbox as he was about to throw a grenade into it. During the assault, Hawkins personally cleared 6 Japanese machine gun nests and 1 blockhouse, sometimes standing exposed on top of a track and firing point blank at 4 or 5 men who fired back at him from behind blockhouses. Hawkins' Medal of Honor was presented to his mother in September of 1944 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in a White House ceremony. Robert Sherrod, a war correspondent covering the battle, later stated in reference to Hawkins, "To say that his conduct was worthy of the highest traditions of the Marine Corps is like saying the Empire State Building is moderately high." Number 4. Private Thomas Alexander Baker was serving in the 105th Infantry Regiment, 27th Infantry Division. During an assault on the ridge on Mariana Islands in Saipan, Baker's company was halted by enemy fire from strongly fortified positions. Baker voluntarily took a bazooka and ran alone through heavy enemy fire to within 100 yards of the enemy stronghold. Here, he took out the strongpoint, allowing his company to advance and assault the ridge. About 3 weeks later, while advancing through an open field, Baker again volunteered. this time to remain in the rear to protect the company against a surprise attack. Upon discovering two heavily fortified enemy pockets which had been bypassed, Baker alone killed all 12 men inside. He then proceeded to eliminate 6 more men he discovered hidden about 500 yards away. On July 7, 1944, Baker's company was attacked from 3 sides by some 3,000 to 5,000 Japanese soldiers. Severely wounded by a shot to the abdomen early in the attack, Baker stayed in the line, firing at enemies as close as 5 yards away. Once his ammunition was depleted, he resorted to using his weapons in hand-to-hand combat, ultimately destroying it. Unable to continue unassisted, Baker was then carried by a fellow soldier about 50 yards before he was killed. Baker then killed that Japanese soldier with the rifle of the one attempting to save him. Approached by another soldier offering assistance, Baker told him to get away and stated that he would rather die there than risk the lives of any more of his friends. He then requested the soldier's pistol and 8 remaining bullets and was left propped against a tree facing the enemy. Refusing the assistance of a 3rd Marine a short time later, Baker was found the following morning in the same position with an empty pistol and the bodies of 8 Japanese soldiers lying around him. Baker was posthumously promoted to sergeant and on May 9, 1945, awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions throughout the battle for Saipan. Number 3. Tony Stein was an American Marine who received the Medal of Honor for his actions during the initial amphibious landings which began the Battle of Iwo Jima in the Volcano Islands. Using his skills as a toolmaker prior to the war, Stein customized a .30 caliber M1919 Browning machine gun from a wrecked Navy fighter plane into a highly effective personal machine gun, which he nicknamed the Stinger. This would be the weapon he used during his one-man assault on February 19, 1945. Stein was the first of his unit to be on station after storming the beach. While providing cover fire to allow his unit to advance, they were stalled by enemy fire. At this point, Stein exposed himself, drawing fire away from his unit and to himself, as well as locating the position of the enemy. Determined to neutralize the enemy and advance his unit, Stein single-handedly charged the pillboxes one by one and succeeded in killing 20 of the enemy. With the rapid rate of fire of his weapon, Stein quickly depleted his ammunition. At this point, he removed his helmet and shoes in order to move more quickly as he returned to the beach for more. Under heavy enemy fire, Stein would do this a total of 8 times, carrying or assisting a wounded Marine back each time. Despite the savagery of the battle, Stein promptly assisted his platoon in the destruction of the Japanese fortification once they were in position. Later that same day, though his weapon had been shot from his hands twice during the attack, Stein personally covered the withdrawal of his platoon to the company position. Tony Stein was killed by a Japanese sniper on March 1, 1945. His Medal of Honor was presented to his widow on February 19, 1946. Number 2. One of the most decorated American combat soldiers of World War II, actor, songwriter, and rancher Audileon Murphy received every military combat award for valor available from the U.S. Army, as well as French and Belgian awards for heroism. But it is the actions which earned him the Medal of Honor at age 19 that we will be looking at. On January 26, 1945, in Holzweiler, France, almost on the border of Germany, the Germans had begun assaulting the town, and Murphy's unit of 128 men was down to only 19. Murphy ordered his remaining men to retreat as he stayed behind. Now alone, Murphy began killing German soldiers as they emerged from the woods to cross a clearing. He continued doing so until he was out of ammunition, at which point Murphy climbed onto a burning tank destroyer in order to use a mounted .50 caliber machine gun. As he used the machine gun to push the enemy back, panzers and mortars began blowing up the ground around him. Murphy then began calling in airstrikes using the tank destroyer's phone, with each strike coming closer to his own position, killing Germans and destroying tanks as close as 50 yards from him. As the Germans closed in, Murphy called in one last strike directly on top of his position, leading the man on the phone to say, "That's right on top of you. How close are they?" Murphy simply yelled, "Hold the phone. I'll let you talk to them." He then jumped from the destroyer and ran into the woods. With the airstrike leaving the German soldiers disoriented, Murphy then gathered his remaining men and organized a counterattack, successfully driving the Germans back. It is estimated that Murphy single-handedly killed 50 German soldiers in his hour-long one-man assault. Murphy was presented the Medal of Honor for these actions on July 2, 1945. After the war, Murphy was asked why he had taken on an entire company of German infantry. He simply replied, "They were killing my friends." Number 1. On May 2, 1968, Roy Benavidez heard a radio call for help from a 12-man Special Force patrol who were surrounded by an NVA infantry battalion of about 1,000 men. Upon hearing the call for help, Roy voluntarily boarded an extraction helicopter bound for the patrol's location. Once the location was reached, Roy jumped from the aircraft with only his knife and a medical bag. He ran an estimated 75 yards through enemy fire to reach the remaining incapacitated patrol team. While retrieving classified documents from the body of the team leader, Roy was injured by small arms fire in his abdomen and grenade fragments to his back, while his pilot was mortally wounded, causing him to crash the helicopter. As Roy rescued, organized, and supplied the remaining team members as well as called in airstrikes and for a second helicopter, he sustained many more injuries, including 7 major gunshot wounds, 28 shrapnel holes covering his body, both arms were slashed by a bayonet, his skull was fractured by the butt of an enemy rifle, 2 missing teeth which were knocked out when a bullet passed through each cheek, in addition to a destroyed lung. 1 round from an AK-47 entered his back and exited just below his heart. Despite sustaining a total of 37 injuries, Roy refused to board the second extraction helicopter until all surviving men were on board and all classified documents were either retrieved or destroyed. Roy was originally awarded the Distinguished Service Cross on September 10, 1968. But this was upgraded to the Medal of Honor on February 24, 1981 by President Ronald Reagan, who, prior to reading the official award citation, stated that if the story of his heroism were a movie script, you would not believe it. Well, that's it for today. If you have a video suggestion you would like to see, just leave it in the comment section below. If your suggestion is used, your comment will be featured at the beginning of your suggested video. But for now, take care, and I will see you all next time.